Yes,
How are you doing? All well?
all well.
Tulla,
So
the
we
blue
have Dr.
looks
Jatin
good on
Ahuja with
you.
us. He's from Max Saket, and he's a infectious disease specialist. And we have Dr. Srinivas Pandey, and Dr. Pandey is a physician practitioner and specialist in Ayurveda. We have Dr. Tulla.
Great, great.
Dr. Tulla is a senior plastic surgeon based out of Gurgaon.
But
And
Dr. Tulla has been our standard panel for
yeah,
over a month now. But Dr. Tulla, the blue looks good on you. I like it. I like the blue. Yes, thank you. Yes, there you go. All right. How are things going for you today?
So, I have a mixed bag of news for you from all my colleagues all around.
Oh, you
So, the thing on the treatment part is that there's the mixed bag which is happening. So, we have some promising news on the convalescent plasma therapy part. So, it's a mixed bag because there are hardly few people in which it's been tried, but it's a 50-50 game with that. So,
You're
and apart from there are certain people who have been treating certain friends of mine in government hospitals who have been treating these COVID patients with antiretrovirals. There also the game has been a 50-50 kind of a scenario. So, I mean, so the story is that we are not yet out of the wood. We don't have a concrete treatment at the moment. It's all in some kind of a 50-50 working scenario. Let's see how it goes. And the vaccine, I'm sure you're all aware of that Oxford has started doing a trial for that. I mean, best case scenario, 3 months down the line, we'll have something up our sleeve. And I'm just keeping my fingers crossed for that.
Hmm. So good and bad news, right? But that's to be expected, but it's not all bad. The plasma talk that we've been having today has been very encouraging. What are your thoughts on the plasma
So,
approach?
Kim, the biggest issue with us on the plasma front is that we need to understand that, at this moment, we're trying it as a desperate measure. So it's an experimental therapy which we're trying out as a desperate measure. Now, honestly speaking, for a limited subset of people, you can do a lot of treatment. But on a mass scale, doing a treatment like this will have its own challenges. First of all, finding people who are willing to donate blood, who have just got away, I mean, from the virus. Then storing this product, and within a certain period of time, this product has to be used. You cannot keep it for unlimited period of time. So these are all practical challenges which are going to be there. But not to withhold that, even if any therapy, whatever it, even if it gives a 50% chance of fighting, at this virus, I think it should be welcomed with open arms.
No, I think that's I think you're right. We got to use what we can, right? And if it's giving us a fighting chance, we need to at least give it that opportunity. I can't imagine what a person is feels like if they have COVID. I can't imagine the pain and suffering that the families are going through when they're taken away from them. You can't visit them. I think that anything we can do at this point in time, let's try it and support it. And I wish I could. I've not had COVID, but I would give plasma. If somebody calls and says they need it, I would give it. I'm sure
I
many
think
people.
plasma is plasma. I mean, doctors. Can we take plasma from the patient who are be treated from COVID, or we can take it from any other patient?
No,
No,
with
it has to be from the COVID positive patient
Yeah,
only.
that's what I mean. So
Those
Kim is
patients who have been
not. Yeah,
recovered fully well without
yeah,
any, sign and symptoms of any residual disease, those are the patients who can come forward and voluntarily donate the blood that can be
yeah,
utilized for the saving of 1 or 2 person's life. A single
yeah.
patient can save the 1 or 2% life, depending upon its antibody titers.
Okay.
There's how many people have survived so far, have recovered? We got to count on that. We've got to, we think, well, it's not a real count, but it's as close as you can get for reporting. But, why can't we contact back these people? There's 771,000 people recovered. It's almost 1 million people that we could reach out to donate plasma. Can plasma be shipped across the world?
Yes, it can shift across the board, but the only thing is it is to be done voluntarily. There should be no pressurized way
No,
to get the plasma. Yeah, from
yeah, we
someone.
don't want to
One
become
thing.
vampires.
Yeah, no. The second thing is that it has to be transport through the blood in a cold storage. You cannot transfuse in a room temperature. It will
Right.
lead to the denaturation of the antibodies, which is our core molecule, a core part, which is to be taken care of our coronavirus disease in our body. So those things has to be transferred through the cold under the cold storage, just like our vaccines do.
Kim, I think we should work on a drone with a cold storage so that we can ship out these tests and plasma therapies in different cities, maybe using a drone. What do you think?
So drone has to carry the ice box for
That's what I'm
maintaining
saying.
the.
A drone with a
Payload.
cold storage. A
Payload.
drone with a cold storage.
We
Yeah.
have drones that adjust payloads, so we can
Yeah.
adjust payloads.
Yeah.
That's a research I did. I did that with the University of Southern Mississippi. We researched drone payloads for exactly this, not the
Yeah.
pandemic, but for transfer for medical reasons, right? To get through traffic faster, to get to military personnel, to EMTs, because a lot of times an EMT's in a situation and a drone could get in faster. So yeah, payloads can be adjusted.
Yeah.
In
And
lockdown,
for a lot of vaccine basically, because with vaccine we have to carry in a cool environment and we can't carry it in our pockets or maybe in our things. So maybe if we have some kind of a cold storage kind of a pen where we just put the vaccine and we can use it.
I don't think so that a small amount of antibodies in a pen will be sufficient to neutralize our
I'm not
virus.
talking about COVID, sir. So it's not about COVID generally. There are a lot of people carry the insulins and all those things, and they
Yeah,
need a cold
absolutely.
storage and everything. Yeah, for that
So,
case.
without sounding like we're vampires, we can put the word out that we know plasma from recovered patients can definitely help other patients recover. It's not being used as a vaccine, but just to recover patients. We can put that word out, right, and get the message out, and maybe people are willing to give plasma. With almost 1 million people recovered, which we're not quite there, but we don't have 1 million new patients a day, right? We're not. And
But I think if I study the maths, around 70,000 people around the world are, getting reported for COVID-19 every day. That is the math basically.
Right. And how much blood can a person give?
1 liter of blood.
No,
Yeah.
not 1 liter. Not 1 liter. 1 liter will be around more than 3 units.
1 liter means you will extract plasma from the 1 liter of blood.
1 unit. So 1 unit be comprising around the 300 ml plus around. So 1 unit of blood patient, if a patient requires, not patient, sorry, the person who has recovered from the COVID can give that blood, donate that blood after every 3 months. There will be no harm because the amount of blood he'll give, he's gonna recover with it very soon.
So
So
we pay them. We pay the people to give their plasma. We did it years ago. We've done it before where people, right now we got an economic problem. So we pay people to give their plasma. All right. Most people would probably say, take it and go save a life. Right. But let's go ahead and set up a bank, a plasma bank, and collect. There's a way. I guess you can use certain plasma in certain people, as I've been listening, and but we're not getting 1 million patients a day. So if you need 1 unit per person to heal them, or if it's 2 or 3, you're still going to get more plasma in than you're probably going to use, which is a good problem to have. Because then we could probably use the other plasma for research and doing other things. But why don't we if we feel like this is really working, why don't we set up a plasma bank where we know all of these recovered patients are, and get that? Would that work? We can put them in freezing or whatever temperature you need them, and ship them to places they need to be. I think this would work.
absolutely.
Plasma bank. All right. Well, so
Will it work, Dr. Ahuja?
Yeah, definitely. We need to have some plasma banks and not only in the major cities, but in the some of the mm, mm, tier 2 cities, we
True.
need to build up these plasma banks. So whenever if the patient requires, that can be taken out from there, and because we don't require any kind of blood grouping testing in the plasma, so
Right.
that can be used from one patient to another patient without any any hesitancy that it can cause any kind of uh, blood reaction or immunological reaction, that can be safely used. So I think that's the best option so far in our hand, and let's utilize that only. I think we should not miss that opportunity. We have to encourage the patient those who have recovered it, and we have that can be done by the government part. I think the government is doing the good job. I think in Delhi also they have started initiative to promote the people that you should come out from the houses, tell us that you are going to voluntarily donate your blood. Our team will be going to help you, and you can save 2 or 3 lives. I think that's a good part.
And you know
So
what? That's a celebration
we
in
would like to
itself.
ask Dr. Tulla that what is the current situation in India, and how do you think? I mean, are we on a right track because we are seeing numbers growing in India around India?
So, I mean, Ankit, honestly speaking, it is very early to say at this moment. I mean, about how are we doing? I mean, I would be, I mean, treading towards the cautious side. I still believe the amount of testing which we are doing is not paramount. Not
Yes,
Notwithstanding that, I do agree there that I mean the critical rate of infection. I mean, when I'm talking about the infection causing critical problem, that relatively looks, I mean, better controlled. So either we have some kind of an innate immunity against this virus due to whatever reasons, due to BCG, oral polio vaccine, or any kind of vaccination which we have done, or maybe simple innate, I mean, immunity because we live in a country which is extremely polluted. We live in a country where, I mean, we are
tropical
not
country.
eating right.
Yeah,
Maybe the contamination levels have been
yeah,
so
very
high
high.
that we have basically cheesed out the virus from us. I mean, whatever be the reason, but apparently it looks like at the moment that we are holding better than, I mean, other parts of the world. So I mean, I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that this should happen like that only, or maybe the virus which has come here has lost some amount of virulence. I mean, there can be multiple reasons for it. But anyway, if things are going in our favor, I think we should be cautious. We should be happy that they are going in our favor. But at the same time, I would, I mean, request all our viewers also that we should not let go of our guard. I mean, if God has been kind to us, we should respect that and
Absolutely.
continue to go around with our job. I mean, the way we work with the proper hand hygiene, social distancing, because ultimately we have to break the cycle. I mean, these lockdowns cannot go forever and ever.
Yeah.
Someday we will have to get out of these lockdowns. And the problem is that when we get out of the lockdowns, it is very important that we maintain discipline and decorum. We should learn
Exactly,
from
Dr.
countries
Tola.
like South, South Korea and all, where they adhere to a certain kind of decorum and I mean behavior. So if we are able to do that, I think that will be good for us. But I do expect that life will change after COVID. So these masks and this social distancing is going to be the norm. And I don't think that this whole thing is going anywhere. I mean, we'll have to keep. I mean, we have to be on the judicious side till the end of the year.
Well,
And
and
that is the
But,
best case scenario.
sir, we are also getting news that a lot of provinces in China also have been shut down, and there is some disinfection in different provinces. Any news or anything you know about this?
So, so the question again is that, see, I mean, honestly speaking, at this moment, what is happening in China is virtually not known much across the world, right? Because, I mean, one, no one is trusting them. I mean, due to various reasons. The
Yeah.
other is even the medical background that there are people who are working on certain kind of drugs, and I mean, so the first antiretroviral, I mean, therapy
Picture.
efficacy of some kind of therapy also came from China, but it was looked down upon. So the problem now is that we ourselves don't know that how much to trust China on what. So I mean, these are so-called reports coming into the media, they are being fed into the media. How much are right, wrong, it is very difficult to comment on. So the whole scenario is that we need to remain on our guard. We should not become complacent. I mean, honestly speaking, we were expecting far worse. We are still better. I mean, so we should respect that. And
But
it is very important that even if the government, I mean, opens this lockdown on the 3rd of May, we have to be very, very careful
Right.
But do you think that we should, I
and
mean,
not
carry
rush.
forward the normal life on after 3rd of May? Because I believe because it's just been a month or so. If we carry it for a month, I think we must be in a much better situation as compared to what we were at 3rd of May. What do you think?
Yes, of course. I do believe that, see, honestly speaking, see, ultimately you will have to uh, take into cognizance a lot of factors because there is an economy thing also which is going around. So we need to understand that also. I mean, see, from my perspective, if I would say that if I were to individualize myself and say that even if the lockdown continues for a month, maybe it will not harm me. It's not
Yeah,
going to harm me at any sense. But what happens to the people who are at the lower end of the strata? They are the people who are going to get hit the worst because ultimately loss of jobs, I mean, ultimately will lead to loss of revenues, industry going down. The people at the, I mean, the lowest rung are the people who are going to require the most soft hands, or you can say to be treated with kid gloves. Now the question is, how effective is our dispersal mechanism to reach down to the last man? That is a question in itself. So that's the challenge which we are going to have.
but sir, I mean, as you say that, I mean, people who are down the road, I mean, who are at the lowest of their economic level, but if the lockdown opens, they will be the one who will struggle the most because they will be prone to all these viruses and things will be in a hayway situation. And you know that because Kim might not be understandable what's happening in India and how the lower popularity works here or how they live here, but you know that it's difficult for us to survive at that point of time because if it spreads across with that community, it will hamper to us and to everyone else.
So actually, what has happened in us is that the urban population is the one which is responsible for all this chaos at this moment. Ultimately, we are to be blamed for all of this what has happened because we were the people who were traveling all across left, right, center, and apparently this virus has also come through airports only.
True.
That we all agree with, right? Every country agrees with that, that this is not an indigenous virus. This is a virus which has transmitted because people, I mean, bearing this virus came from outside and entered into the country.
Yeah.
Now, the good part with the rural sector is at the moment because not much of the urban workers have also traveled into the rural areas. So the reports from rural sectors are that it's doing better. So it is still contained. Now, what happens is after the lockdown, what we have to be careful is that we do not get too much of influx of people who are in the urban area, residing in the urban area, rushing down to the rural areas, because
Yeah.
then it is going to be a complex scenario. I don't expect the rural people, whoever have gone back, to come back to work for another 2 3 months. I don't expect that happening because ultimately people will also realize that life is very important. So we need to respect that. So I don't think that happening because I have friends in the industry who are very skeptical now that the workforce which has gone back to their villages is going to
Mm.
come back early on. So there is going to be that challenge. But what I want is that, at least from the government side, is that whatever we can supply them, it has to be supplied in a manner in which we are not transgressing their boundary. So we need to keep a distinct between people who are not infected and people who are potentially infected or are living in areas which are infected.
That's very important. You know, I work with a friend who's in Africa. And over the years, even though you think malaria is not a big issue, but every once in a while an outbreak will occur and it will devastate a village. And so the biggest concern is how can we continue our lifestyles and not break people's freedoms for earning their livings and still take control over malaria, right? And so, they keep coming up with ways of measuring people's temperature. Technology is very difficult to get over there, and I work with them on trying to get as much as I can help them with. Sometimes they're not willing, but or it's very expensive and they're just not capable. But to get back to a normal life, especially in the rural areas, so that you don't disrupt their nature, and also protect them, because once an outbreak occurs, you can't control it. A lot of people are going to die. So what you're talking about is going to be the complicated part, what I call about the re-entry, right? How do we re-enter without reinfecting? And we know we're going to see reinfections. At what volume? I don't know. I like this idea, this talk that we had today of using plasma. I think it has a lot of good potential opportunity. That is a healthier alternative than some of the things I've heard. And I just think we have to be positive, Dr. Tulla. And you shared something yesterday that was very concerning to me, and we were able to start addressing it today. Is your concern about the people who are alone and their mental state, and the elderly people, and so we're addressing that. We're trying to reach out to people, but yeah, there's no right answer. I don't think right now. I think it's a scary thought. I don't want to think about going out into the world. I just don't. I've become, and you have to realize, 2 years ago I was traveling 85% of the time. Even though I'm an introvert, I still require, like the lady was talking about, I still require some social people that now I don't even want to walk out my door. I don't. I go outside to get the sunshine, but I don't want to be around people right now. So this is going to be a socialism. Okay, we're going to have to overcome a lot of things.
Honestly speaking, Kim, I believe all the young people on this panel, includes the youngest of us all, right? He seems to be the most effervescent all around, right? So he's holding strong. He's holding tough. He's enjoying his days with chess, right? So
Yeah.
apparently, I don't think anyone is doing bad. And then when it comes down to the golden generation on this program, so I presume it is the younger people who are now getting more afflicted because they want to rush out. The older generation is more laid back. They are more. I mean, they have had their experiences which have maybe taught them to be more static, and that is one reason why they, I think, are holding on better. I'm very sure Ankit will be the one who will be the most interested in having leaving the premises of his house at the earliest among all of us.
He has no interest.
One question for you.
He's a smart man, so he is saying that. But otherwise, his generation is the one who will be the first one off the blocks. Right?
Dr. Tulla,
I
I
believe
have
in all
one
generations.
question for
I
you.
would
May
think
I?
about younger, but I have a tendency to think about an older generation as well. And I cope up with all the people with different ages. So I don't believe in going out, but I trying to keep everyone safe, and that is what my job is at this point of time.
No. So Alexander, what do you got to say?
No,
Just one question to Dr. Tulla.
kidding.
Dr. Tulla, I'd like to ask you this.
Yes.
Several days ago, I've said on this program that if the things will go like this for another few months, maybe 6 months or 12 months or even 18 months before the vaccine will be available, right? That will definitely lead to social unrest. And as you know, the biggest lineups in the United States are to buy guns and ammunition. Okay. So speaking of that, and I thought, oh, wait a moment, why would I say something like this? What am I the only one who's talking like that? Oh, guess what? Today on a program, and yesterday, by the way, too, on a popular program in the morning on CNBC, Jim Cramer, who's very well respected financial journalist and investor, and he's done quite a lot of things. You probably know about him. He said exactly the same thing, that the social unrest is a matter of 3, maybe 4 months. Okay, so let me ask you then this. Right now, the ratio of deaths in the United States due to coronavirus is about 5% from the numbers we know. Now we know that there was a substantial sacrifices and a lot of death during the Great Depression of the 1930s due to several factors:
Yes.
social unrest, we had anger, we had the various reasons that a lot of people passed away. So if we would imagine that the deaths from coronavirus causes is a 5%, so 95% are survivors. So 5% are dead. But due to social unrest, there will be probably 15 to 20% death rate. Then what's a lesser evil of these two? And maybe it's about probably to consider which evil is lesser and which is more. What do you think?
So that
Dr.
is the
Tulla,
big challenge, Sasha. So honestly speaking, that is the challenge, because you will have to prioritize keeping in view that every life is important, and we have to ensure that we do not end in a scenario where we have to try and choose one over the another. So the best way in an Indian context will be that, I mean, when we are talking about our country, we should open in a very graded fashion. We should try and keep the maximum risk population. That means the elderly and the people who are above the age group of anywhere around 50 and above, maybe even 45 and above. I mean, try to shield them as much as possible, and I mean, and maintain the basic decorum. I'm sure if we maintain the basic decorum, I mean, chances of infection are going to decrease, and we will have a loss in transmission of this virus, even if we don't have a cure by that time, because I don't expect any cure to come. I mean, very near in the near future. It's going to take time. So all these, the convalescent plasma and all, they're really basically on the experimental basis treatment, which is being melted out at the moment. So my only thing is that we should segregate the people at risk, and I mean, that's the only way to go around with it.
Okay, let me ask you, what about the compromise? Something, okay, there is a very high risk to population of age over, say, I don't know, 50, 55, 60. So there has to be some kind of a number, like reliable number. Say it's over 60, for example, right? So why wouldn't people less than 60 years old, before 60, they would just go back to work and just do some social activities, whatever they might be, still with wearing masks and the gloves and, of course, taking all precautions, but still somehow to revive economy, because there will be very little left in 3 4 months. There will be very little left of economy as we know of, because you know what's happening right now already. A lot of people and corporations, and even wealthy corporations, they stop paying rent. And so all the people who have shopping malls, apartment buildings, and everything else, they will suffer because they have to pay their mortgages and so on. So that will not gonna be done either. So all the chain, all the supply of money, supply, everything is getting ruined. And of course, federal government provides, okay, 2 trillions here, 5 trillions there, 75 trillions another day, but that's not going to solve the problems. It will sort of make people feel better, uh, probably for next I don't know, hour and a half, maybe maybe a week, months or so. But it's not solving the problems, because if that will go like that, America will have to declare bankruptcy anyway. So I mean that's not an option. So okay, look, the older people like myself, I mean, we are going to die anyway. So we're going to die in 5 years, 10 years, maybe maybe in a month and a half. Who knows? But the world doesn't have to suffer so much in order to save people like myself. That's what I'm thinking.
So that's a very kind view of you. I mean, thinking that way. But unfortunately, we need to realize one thing, that please understand, Sasha, and I'm saying it from heart, and I do believe it. That please understand the golden generation. The golden generation means the people above the age group of 60 years. they have also contributed in the development of the country, right? It is their hard work which we are now experiencing and enjoying the benefits of, right? It is people like you who have worked so hard for your countries and made these countries into what they are at the moment, right? So how can we let go of you people? It's a dilemma, right? I don't
Well,
think
I'll tell
that
you.
we should be concerned about our older generation, because we need to understand that, I'm speaking from my perspective into it, that I always believe that the older generation always guides the path, right?
Dr.
So it
Tulla.
is maybe our way of being brought up in this. I do know that it sounds little emotional, but we need the elder generation, because ultimately at the end of the day, I do agree that you have seen your, sunshine times, but that does not mean or belittle you, or we say that we make you the sacrificial lamb. I don't think
Dr.
it has to
Tulla.
be done in that way. Maybe we can segregate and do something around it.
Thank you very much for kind words again. But how can I enjoy my golden years if I can see? I would prefer not to see, but it could happen that I will see, thanks to you, the ruins where my daughter and my grandchildren will live, because if this situation will continue much longer, the world will go back to Stone Age, if you will. It's a great possibility. It cannot go on like that for longer than another maybe 2 months. I don't think that it will survive 3 more months like that. 2 months probably, not
So,
three
Sasha,
months.
that is what is going to happen, is that we are not going into an acute lockdown. I don't expect lockdowns in all across the world to last more than a month, right? That is the maximum where these lockdowns will last for, and ultimately the governments will slowly, steadily. They will have a strategy around it, because we have to have a strategy around it. You can't
So,
just open everything and just go slam bang, because that will not last. Because then you will have mass casualties all across the world. Look at
okay, so
how
by
US is tottering at the moment. So we
so
are at 50,000 deaths in US at the moment.
good. So
That's a huge number.
okay, so the way you think by say June 1st, we should be all up and running. Slowly, of course, not to open
So
everything
yes,
everywhere
so
at
yeah,
once,
so
but
maybe
slowly.
yeah, so maybe yes. So that is what the governments all across the world should be looking at. So they should be looking at running the essentials, right? Honestly speaking, Sasha, all said and done, we have lived in vanity over a period of time. Look at our super rich. They have been vain. Look at a brand. What is a brand after all? Look at these clothing accessory brands, these watches brands. What are the brands all about?
Shall I
Honestly
suggest?
speaking, if you look at that perspective,
Yes, Srinivas.
yeah,
Yes,
please
doctor.
go ahead, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Like, I would like to suggest already the governments have started doing their work, but I would say ki the blood donation, plasma transfusion, regarding that, patients should be educated and encouraged both. Because I had some calls from patients, even some relatives of patients, they have recovered from the quarantine and they are being asked for donating blood, but he is not willing to go. So such
Okay.
patients should be encouraged as well as educated. It is not going to harm you. It is true for well-being of others in the society. Number one. And number two, as sir said, for the social unrest, I would suggest yoga, sir. Yoga should be inculcated in the day-to-day routine life, and certain immunoboosters of our Ayurvedic natural drugs, which can help people regularly. I would say that.
So great thoughts. I prefer yoga, and I'm not sure about the viewers
Yes.
around the world. But as Indians, we are living with yoga, and although we might not be
Yeah.
doing that much amount of yoga, but I think we need to change our lifestyle. And as
Yeah.
everyone agrees
If
that,
not yoga, it is certain some exercise for some
yeah,
time. So that keep your body physical exercise as well as some mental meditation. Do meditation, something to calm down yourself. So
true,
mental factor is also much more important in the health factor. What I say,
yeah,
as the sir was telling, the social rest. Social rest is a matter of only your mind.
yeah.
That's all.
No, we completely understand. We agree, and also as Dr. Tulla said, we have to open the economy. in a strategic way so that we can balance it out. We can keep the social distancing. We can also, take care of our economy and also take care of our poorly people as well, because a lot of people will be struggling post COVID as well because of the economic situation, because they don't have work
So,
and
Ankit,
they are,
as I was telling you that we have to start looking inward. We
yeah,
should take an example. I don't like to quote that example, but we should look at it as Germany did post World War One. How did they rebuild themselves? I mean, of course, not with a great leader, but the vision at that time was good. So what did they do? They had all the sanctions on them. They were in an utterly mess. So what did they do? They started working on their infrastructure.
yeah.
So they started building roads, they built all the carriageways. I mean, this is what India also has an opportunity to do and try to ramp up the
Good.
rural sector. Because I think this is an opportunity where we can do it if we have the will.
Yeah.
This Manrega, which we have as a scheme, if it can be, pushed to the fullest, I think this is a golden opportunity for us to get our bearings back again.
No, I completely agree. I mean, we
Because
should plan things in
whether
a
we want to
strategic
accept,
manner. Yeah.
we yeah.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
So yesterday also you had a gentleman who was talking about renewable sources of energy. So
Yeah.
we have all these highways across which we have good amount of sunshine. We can just put these paneling all across the highways, and you won't even require too much of security around them. I mean, if we can do that, we will have all. And so it's just a approach. We need to have the right kind of approach. I'm sure the government will also be looking into all of this. I mean, they have their own challenges, but I mean, honestly speaking, we need some out of the box solutions also at the moment. And if we are
Well,
able to deliver it, I am very sure that long term we will reap the benefits of this. I mean, for generations to come, if we just manage to do it. And I think this is a great opportunity. I mean, for doing that.
no, I completely agree. I mean, we need to learn from what's happening during the COVID and what are the best practices we can carry forward for a longer period of time. And I think social distancing will stay forever, because that's the way we can, basically take care of your community and also take care of ourselves. Because, it might be happening in Japan and other countries, social distancing, they follow it rigorously, but not in India because of the population, because of the way we have a lifestyle. We are always shoulder to shoulder, and that's how we travel internationally or in flights or maybe in trains and in buses like that. So we have to take those things seriously, and that is what the life way forward according to me.
But social distancing should not be of compulsion. It should be voluntarily cooperated by everyone individually,
But sir,
not
we
as a
need to
compulsion. Yeah, government.
But
about social
unfortunately,
distancing, because
You're going
we
to have
need to have
resistance,
compulsion,
right?
because otherwise people won't. Because in India, that people won't
unfortunately,
understand what is.
I
That's
think,
what.
sir, initially we will have one.
Yes, Dr.
I
Tulla.
know it looks very, it's just like A for apple, B for banana. I mean, unfortunately, we Indians are only taught how
Yeah.
to jostle each other. We're always in the hurry of jostling each other. Right?
Yes.
So, despite a spiritual country, we still are not spiritual to the core.
Yeah.
No, no, you see,
We
now at
still are in a
least the
fight
world
over
is
running over
accepting.
each other.
No, sir. Now at
We
least the
might
world
be.
has accepted ki not this, but this is good. Not this, but this. Okay.
Right, the
Like
mustard.
that. So like the way, yeah, that's that. So things should come voluntarily from inside. We should keep away.
There's,
Yeah,
Well,
that's
there's
what.
so many
I
things
really
we
believe
can
I.
do. We can shop at home. We
Well,
got Lynn Shepherd here, Shepherd Family Dollar Store, who's going to try to get it so that you can buy his products at home. You can shop at home. You can social distance yourself. You can get on shows like this. We're going to be having a cafe show on Sunday, a music cafe show, because somebody heard us talk about music is healing, and it would be, and people miss going out to the cafe and hearing the music. So one of our great little musicians said, I'll do it. I'll do a music cafe. So on Sunday, she's going to host a music cafe every Sunday for us. There you go. She's got a lot of spirit about her, but she's not a guest. But there are so many things that we can start doing. Count our blessings. That's one of the things I think everyone that comes on our show, they're all positive for one reason. We're not looking like Sasha says, keep saying that the cup as if it's half empty, which mine is more than that. But we look at it as being just what we have, and we're thankful for it. And we enjoy it, what we have. And that positiveness keeps driving, and we find solutions, and we're not giving up. You know, there are many reasons why each one of us should be sitting at home and feeling sorry for ourselves, but we don't. And I think it's because we've learned that little secret. And that little secret is when you get out and do something for other people, you feel better. You don't feel your own pain anymore. You start seeing the results from your actions. But we got so many good things going on. We need to support it. Sasha has going to be doing so somebody just told me they fell out of love with me because I don't play chess. He goes, I liked Kim until I heard her tell Sasha she don't play chess.